Well, this new development may be viewed to be not in line with the Labour Act of as amended in 2007, especially when you consider Section 65 on issues that pertains to access to the premises of the employer. So now, I'm not quite privy to the situations that you have just reported on a while ago, but the space of the employer is to be accessed by a recognized entity, in this particular case, a trade union entity. And if it's a trade union entity, it may not be refused access if the business they want to go and deal with is deemed reasonable. So the Section 65 really outlined all the issues that needs to be considered when a trade union organization or any recognized workers representative organization seek audiences with the employer in that place. Now, this we can also just view it in terms of what the trade unions are doing now, or what they are supposed to do in instances like this. What we are observing is that these visits are happening either at retail places or they are happening at companies that are largely also owned by Chinese, and probably the issue is because that many workers in these areas are not organized, so that they have got employer organizations that really can address their issues with the employer.
Now, so, Dr. Akupa, let me just come in there. You've spoken about the recognized trade unions. What about when it's a political party?
When it's a political party, the workers' environment is that's the forte of the trade union. A political party ought to operate in a political environment, but it doesn't then therefore mean that people are not allowed to associate, because it's a constitutional guarantee that the person can associate with any other organization. But then the space of work is for trade unions. It's just simple as that.
Mm-hmm. Now, Dr. Akupa, on one hand, you have workers who are in need of jobs, particularly this time with the operating in a strained economy, given the pandemic and the economic recession for more than 5 years or so. And then on the other hand, you have these reports of unfair labor practices. How then should the parties involved, that now the recognized trade unions, government plus now the employers, should go about this issue without the necessary confrontations in the manner that is currently happening?
Certainly, there's what we call social dialogue, and it is through this social dialogue where such problems need to be sorted out. And we have observed world around that the confrontation has not really largely brought about the change required. So, like our own instance, we are believing in the tripartite situation where both concerned parties need to entertain the social dialogue, and it is only when the social dialogue is not happening or is not able to yield required outcomes that they proceed again to the next level. And in our own case, the law is very clear on what can be done, and we understand that the economy has not been good. But yet, the economic instance should not lead to environments through which problems may not be solved. Because remember, like in this case, anybody can prevent you from entering their private spaces and charge you with trespassing, because it's a private space. The work of employment is a private space. Mm-hmm. So you need to follow the rules and what the law says if you want to enter or access that premises. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't, as long as you are an organized entity, as long as you are recognized as per the law, there shouldn't be a problem.
So who is to call the social dialogue? Who is to initiate? Who is failing who here?
Certainly here, what we are seeing here is trade unions not being able to organize their members or able to organize wide in the working spectrum that we have in the moment. And also we find that government should also be able to be proactive in this regard. When such reports are surfacing, that they also go and investigate so that proper remedies are considered. So in this particular case, is that you mentioned very well about the economy. And we're saying that many workers are becoming more and more informally employed. That's also making it difficult for trade unions to organize these workers under an umbrella. Mm-hmm. And that is where they will end up having problems of this nature, where workers are not represented and anybody else can enter that space and claim to represent or want to solve those problems that workers are experiencing in various places.